Prime Minister of St Maarten says she has a vision for St Maarten. French St Maarten also preparing for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. But first up, President of the SMCU union says the reason why the workers rejected the proposal is because it has no room for negotiations. Those are the headlines for Tuesday, June the 2nd, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you for joining me this evening. We have a packed newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, TLM Group of Companies have announced that it will be implementing a pay cut across the board for all of its employees as of July the 1st, 2020. The SMCU met on Tuesday morning at the Weifel building to discuss that 12.5% cut. They were supported by the Chamber of Labor Unions, who turned out in solidarity with their counterparts. President of the SMCU, Lutzen Evers, says that the company is currently being mismanaged. One of the reasons why the workers rejected the letter was that it has no room for negotiations and it contained threats. Consequently, for the employees, the following measures were proposed, representing a reduction of their labor conditions. The COLA and salary increases will no longer be applied. The group savings plan will terminate effective January 2021 and will not be renewed. Salaries will be decreased by 12.5% across the board. Employees will no longer be placed on call and thus will no longer receive an on-call allowance. Instead, when necessary, employees can be called on, in which event they will be compensated in accordance with the overtime regulations currently in place. Bonuses will no longer be paid out, and this will stay in place until the company's EBITDA is at least 14 million guilders, as required by the bondholders. For completeness' sake, it was also decided to cut other operating costs, among which all training and travel expenses will be reduced by 50%. Temporary contracts will not be renewed unless absolutely necessary. Persons who do not work full-time will assist other departments that require additional help, so the company can avoid as much as possible having to hire new employees for that. Employees who go on pension will not be replaced unless absolutely necessary. Store opening hours outside disconnection dates will be reduced, which enables the company to reduce the schedule allowance by 50%. Voluntary reduction in working hours accompanied by a reduction in pay will be made possible as much as they can. The employees on sick leave will receive a salary equal to the sick pay from the SZV. They are also negotiating reduction in other costs such as capacity lease, local loop costs, and voice costs. The president of the SMCU, Lutzen Evers, spoke to SXM Daily News and PGD2 Radio after the meeting.
Okay, the first one was we not accepting absolutely nothing but this in this letter, and we also have to let the directors them know about the disrespect and the threat in this. So no cut and start respecting our rights as human.
So everybody saying no cut?
No cut. Then we have to send a letter to the Prime Minister requesting to continue with the SWAB that was on schedule already to come in and do a forensic audit in TLM.
Yes, sir.
And everybody pick up that?
Yes.
If that don't happen, then we have to send a letter to the public prosecutor requesting them to come to an investigation in the company based on this letter. Because this letter is telling you that we have financial problems.
Well, okay, what transpired and the reason why the people rejected is because the company currently is being mismanaged. The letter that was sent by Mr. Kusoy, the letter is not stating proposals. The letter is stating cost-cutting measures. The letter, it don't have no room for negotiations. The letter also has threats in it, and also the letters indicating that the company has financial problems, and they want to use the COVID-19 situation as an excuse to implement certain measures what they was maybe planning for now for years.
Obviously, the letter has also requested that you as a union send in your counter proposal. Any ideas to what you're requesting from the company at this time?
Well, for counter proposal, we have a lot. The company is busy with the fiber to the home project that already has failed. The company borrowed over $20 million towards this project. The project is failing. The company who was doing the project, which is MER, already the company dismissed them and bring in a new company, which is KN. Yeah, and that alone is indicating that it's failing. And I receive a message that TLM has less money than what it's needed to execute the fiber to the home project. So the fiber to the home project is going to be executed right now until when the money is finished, and when the money is finished, you put it on hold. When you put something on hold, that means that that's the time the company can be called as bankrupt. Yeah, so in order to safeguard, we propose several times use fiber to the curb. Fiber to the curb is fiber to a cabinet, which where you shorten the distance from the copper, and that way the capacity or the quality of the copper from the cabinet to the home will increase. Yeah, all that we propose. We propose to use the network that was purchased from cable TV. Use the coax cable. The coax could hold more than what the regular copper can hold. So all those things we said how to bring in additional money and cut on the expenditure that we have currently. So we did explain all this already. We have too many consultants in the company that they are for years. They're there for years, over 10 years. A consultant over 3 years becomes an employee. By law, he becomes an employee. And you have consultants, and they're driving the company vehicle. They're working in the company office. Consultant should have his own office to work out from. You know, so all these things that the company is doing, for us, it's kind of mismanaged. Yeah, and if we cut some of these things, the company can survive because the company has a lot of potential with the people inside of it.
Interestingly, you spoke of the fact that the company is going through some financial challenges at this time. You're also requesting that a forensic audit be conducted, and if not, you will be presenting at least a request to the public prosecutor's office to ensure that they investigate the financial situation of the company. First of all, this, I think, will have to be a topic of discussion with management.
Yes, what we said is the SOB was on the table by the former Prime Minister to come into Lynn and start a forensic audit. I understood they met with the board of directors already, and the board of directors also gave their okay. And the two C's, by the CEO and the CFO, is fighting to keep it out, to keep the SOB out. Now, that is a clear indication that something is going wrong in the company. Okay. We have to request the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, to pick it up because government should be continuation. Pick it up and instruct the board to force that the SOB gets in the company. And based on those findings, we will know where the company stands financially. Right now, with the letter sent, when you read the letter, in the letter it gives you the impression that the company has financial problems. That's what the letter is given. And based on the letter, we're doing all of this. We're doing this based on that. I didn't write the letter. The letter is signed by Mr. Dupusoy. And because of that, I have to continue with the path based on what I'm reading in his letter. You understand? If we're going to sit down at the table with Mr. Dupusoy, I would like to. But I believe the approach from these directors is always the wrong one. before sending a letter to the union, I believe that Mr. Dubois should call the union in, have a meeting, have a discussion with the union, and then based on that, we will put something together, because we must be able to put something together where the cotton is concerned.
Meanwhile, General Secretary of the WICSU PSU, Reginald Bakari Arundel, also spoke to the SMCU union. He said that he is in complete solidarity with the union. As a trade unionist, it goes beyond words. It goes beyond rhetoric.
As a trade unionist, we firmly believe in solidarity. And when we say solidarity, it goes beyond just words. It goes beyond rhetoric. So because of this situation, I insisted that I get a Untitled shirt to demonstrate my solidarity with your struggle here today. He's not one of my favorite presidents, but Benjamin Franklin said, "Justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are." And when I heard Comrade Woodson speaking and outlining the various issues that is affecting the company, to me it reminded me so much of what's going on in the public sector, because we basically have the same concerns where it pertains to leadership, management, and opportunities for our workers, where it pertains to being overworked and underpaid for our workers. So we can identify with the struggle here which you are today. Comrades, brothers and sisters, as Luton said, I hate to talk, so I'm going to keep it short. Right? At this pivotal moment, don't only struggle for a single issue. Go after everything. Go after everything. From the injustices of the past, and create those structures so that we don't have a repeat of this situation again. Or else all of this here is for nothing.
And still to come, member of the Anti-Poverty Platform says the salary cuts that are being proposed are discriminatory. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Maarten, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now with SXM Daily News for this evening, speaking of the proposed cuts that government is proposing, cut of the civil servants of 12.5% and the salary cut of private sector workers of 20% is discrimination. That is according to member of the Anti-Poverty Platform, Dr. Anders Raymond Gisseroen, who was at the time speaking at the platform's weekly press briefing last Thursday, May the 28th, 2020.
The cut for civil servants of 12.5% and the salary cut for private sector workers of 20%. Isn't that discrimination? The first condition State Secretary Knops and the Kingdom Council of Ministers imposed on the Council of Ministers of St Maarten is that the private sector workers have to take a cut of 20% of their salary. If not, no payroll support, and the 29 million that was destined for that will not be transferred. If the businesses apply for payroll support, they will only get a maximum compensation of 60% instead of the 80% that was announced before by the Council of Ministers and the ministerial decree of May the 14th. We already have questioned why the St Maarten government implemented a discriminatory treatment of entrepreneurs affected by COVID-19 in this part of the kingdom. The Dutch government gives entrepreneurs a maximum of 90% compensation. That is decreed in the now arrangement in the Netherlands and for the Best Islands. All that have experienced a loss because of the COVID-19 pandemic, that is what they are entitled to. Now, Knopswand, Curaçao, Aruba, and Bonaire, their governments, and St Maarten to compensate the businesses up to a maximum of 60%, requiring that the employer should pay the other 20% and that the workers should take a cut of 20%, either in the form of a solidarity premium or accepting a reduction of 20% in working hours.
And in other news at this time, in her national address on Saturday last, May the 30th, 2020, the Honorable Prime Minister of St Maarten, Ms. Sylvia Jacobs, says that she has a vision for St Maarten, and it is to move from the one-pillar economy to becoming a multi-pillar economy.
Remind you of this vision that I have for St Maarten, that we move from where we are to being a multi-pillar economy, giving each and every person the opportunity for maximum growth, so that you, the citizens of St Maarten, are empowered to realize that it is your own strength, your determination, strength of mind, and your actions that will allow you to progress to the next level and the next and the next. There is no limit to the progress we as St Maarten can realize if we only work together. St Maarten is a place where dreams can be achieved. Be blessed, St Maarten.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for June the 2nd, 2020, a relatively drier and more stable air mass will restrict precipitation across the region during this forecast period. While the weak Atlantic high-pressure system and subsequent loose pressure gradient will maintain gentle to moderate winds across the region, slight to moderate seas are expected with waves peaking near 6 feet. The outlook through Thursday midday, fair to partly cloudy with a brief local shower possible. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, First Vice President tells why the business stimulus was rejected on French St Maarten. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And as we continue, in news now from French St Maarten, June 1st has arrived and it signals the beginning of the 2020 hurricane season, not only for Dutch St Maarten, but for the French side as well. First Vice President of the Collectivité, Valerie Damaso, says that they are preparing for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. The collectivité and its partners are making preparations, and a hurricane disaster management meeting will be held tomorrow to finalize the measures that have been put in place.
As of June 1st, we will be entering the Atlantic hurricane season. Like every year, the collectivité and its partners are preparing for the season. A hurricane disaster management meeting will be held this Wednesday to finalize the measures that we have put in place. We will have the opportunity to communicate on those details shortly. During the last Territorial Council, we presented our new updated disaster management plan, which demonstrates all the procedures and measures to protect the territory in the event of a crisis. The Territorial Council has approved the changes to this plan, which you will be able to consult on the collectivité's website in a few days. Let's not forget that while authorities have their role to play, the preparation of the hurricane season is everyone's responsibility. Specialized national centers have announced an active season. Therefore, we advise everyone to prepare by making necessary stock, consolidating their home, cleaning their property. Irma has shown us how decisive this preparation is in case of a major storm. You will find all these information on our website in the Disasters Management section.
The collectivité also announced that certain businesses did not qualify for the business stimulus from the Solidarity Fund. A rejection notification said that they had not filed or paid their taxes. The first vice president explains in part why.
We have been alerted by a large number of companies which has allegedly received a rejection notification from the director of the General Public Finance Department following their request for assistance under the Solidarity Fund COVID-19 for the month of March 2020. The National Solidarity Fund reports to the French Ministry of Finance and Budget and locally to the Finance Department. We therefore spoke with Monsieur Alain Contant, Director of the Public Finance Department, to better understand these rejections. During the examination of the application by the services of the Public Finance Department, it appeared that the majority of the rejections were due to the fact that businesses had not filed or paid their license fee and the contribution of the patent in 2019. Businesses are reminded that they must certify that their fiscal situation is up to date in order to benefit from public aid. Therefore, in order to benefit from the Solidarity Relief Fund for the month of April and May 2020, and to obtain Part 2 of the fund, qualifying businesses must first regulate their situation by filling out the 2019 form, which can be downloaded from the collectivité's website and submitted to the Public Finance Department mailbox or by requesting a suspension. Businesses that are, however, up to date with their tax contribution, but whose requests have been declined, should follow up with the Public Finance Department at the following address on the screen.
And still to come, deadline extended to June 5th to apply for business payroll support. I'll have the details of that story when SXM Daily News returns.
How are you doing this morning? Good. So, Rebecca, thank you for coming. I work as a psychologist at the Mental Health Foundation. I mainly see children and adolescents, but I also see adults. So whenever there's a crowd, that's when you're starting to feel
nervous.
Okay.
nauseous.
Okay, it is kind of like your body. We are so used to taking care of our body. If we have a little ache in our foot, we know to rest it. We know, okay, I might have walked too much, so I need to rest. Now, of course, that can be just an ache in my foot, but I can also break my leg. Now, for breaking my leg, I would have to go to the doctor. So that kind of goes the same for mental health illnesses. So you can come in for something little as, I'm really stressed out lately. What would you need? A little bit of rest. But someone can also come in with way more difficulties. We're not here to judge right or wrong, good or bad. Is it helpful for you? Fine. Is it not helpful for you? Okay, then let's see what we can do about it. But not a wrong nor right, absolutely not. It's a magnifying glass without judgment.
Well, there's still a lot of stigma on the island, unfortunately. It's not a topic that people easily talk about, and that's a shame. They're afraid that they get judged, and there is still quite a bit of judgment. I mean, often we hear, don't go to that crazy house. Once you go in, you never go back. And it's just not true, We treat a lot of patients here, and a lot of them, we get back on their feet.
Our goal at the Mental Health Foundation is for us to help you improve your life, for you to live a better, happier, and fuller life.
And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, the new deadline for employers to apply for second cycle of business payroll support or lockdown payroll support is Friday, June the 5th, 2020. The deadline has been extended to allow more employers the opportunity to apply for the stimulus payroll support. The original deadline was May 31st, 2020, and up until May 30th at 6:30 p.m., a total of 672 employers have applied for the stimulus payroll support, 77 less than the previous month. Employers experiencing a minimum of 20% decline in revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic can apply for the support, which would assist in the payroll of their employees and prevent layoffs. The online application form can be found in the SZV Employer Portal. Employers who do not yet have an account can request an account via www.szv.sx. Employers who have already applied for stimulus payroll support can log in to the SZV Employer Portal to check the status of their application, get detailed specifications of approval or denial, view payment specifications, and send and receive messages to and from the review team directly within the portal. Denied applications can be appealed by submitting an objection letter by email to ssrp@szv.sx. Documents needed to get access to the employer portal include a recent Chamber of Commerce excerpt and a valid St Maarten ID or passport. New users of the SZV Employer Portal can review the online user manual or demonstration videos available. And with that, viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM News for this evening. I'm Valerie Van Putten, and just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmaartenmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.